Hey, what's up everybody, Karma Cashflow here, and in this video I'm going to be telling you the 13 different lessons on money that the rich teach their children, and I'm also going to walk you through a little bit about how I teach my kids about money. So let's get right into it. Number one is money does not make you happy. Money gives us options, all right? It makes things a little bit easier, but money does not make us happy. This is something that I try to teach my kids at a very early age, from like 4 or 5 years old, when they're, playing around with Monopoly money and all this stuff, and trying to explain what money is and what it can do for us. The thing is that a lot of people have this misconception that money or an abundance of money actually makes us happy. And that's not the case. Money never makes you happy. But the lack of money also does not contribute to happiness. In fact, most marriages fail because of a lack of money. I know this firsthand, all right? I have been dead broke, living in my car, $65,000 in debt. And I cannot tell you how much stress this had on my marriage and how much this had on me personally. And I can also tell you, from having an abundance of money, having millions of dollars, that money does not make you happy, no matter how much money you have. Now, number two thing that the rich teach their kids is the importance of money. Now, not all rich people teach their kids about money properly. At least they did it in my example, right? In my life. My parents are extremely wealthy and always have been, as far as I can remember anyway, but they didn't teach me a single thing about money. You see, while they had a ton of money, my parents were simply pretty much employees, right? My mom owned a hospital, multiple medical centers, and my father helped build one of the largest healthcare companies in the country. But essentially, they were just employees. And they had the old style mindset that you don't really talk about money. And of course, my mom is actually calling me. Oh boy. All right, moving on. So like I said, not all families teach their kids about money in the ways that I am telling you, but a lot of them do. And that's because the rich know the value of money, and that money gives you options. Even the ability to help others takes money. And the poor don't even talk about money usually. In fact, a lot of the times they say it's not important. And this is harmful to their kids, because growing up in our society today, we rely on financial intelligence and financial literacy. We have to know about money because money plays an integral role in everything that we do. And having some sort of financial education could literally mean the difference between having a good life and having a bad life. Number three, the best way to make a lot of money is to help others and solve their problems. So about a year or two ago, I actually did a video course on how to make $1 million in 12 months. And this all stems from a conversation that I had with a friend. And I told him that if you drop me off in the middle of nowhere, in a single year, I'm going to be able to be a millionaire and make $1 million within that time frame. And he asked me how, and it all came down to doing research and finding out what problems the people were having and solving those problems, all right? That is how you make a lot of money, is by helping others. In fact, I think Zig Ziglar said it best when he said, if you just help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want in return, or something like that. It was a really good saying, and I take it wholeheartedly. I see a lot of people that have businesses all over the place selling products or services or whatever, that they're not actually solving anybody's problem. And they wonder why their businesses aren't doing so well. And it's because they're not actually solving a problem. They're not there to help anybody. They're there to put money in their pocket. And while it's a business, and a business does need to make money, the business's responsibility is to help someone solve a problem. Number four are the different ways to make money. So the rich generally tend to teach their children about working 9 to 5, having a job, trading time for money, and all of that, so that their children understand that trading time for money is not the most optimal way. They talk to them about commissioned work, right? Having a sales type position where you earn something off of commission only. They talk to them about developing cash flow from assets and all the different ways that you can make money. And I think that's really important, because a lot of people don't really understand that there are different ways to make money. In fact, myself, before I got into business, I only really understood that I could make money if I had a good job or if I owned a small business or something like that. I didn't really understand the idea of having an asset and letting that work for me, and so that asset provides me cash flow and literally puts money in my pocket. I didn't understand any of that. And I seriously think a lot of people don't understand that as well. And you need to teach your kids that there are many different ways to make money. Now, the fifth thing the rich teach their kids is how to actually manage their money. And I'm going to be talking about this in just a little bit in section 2 when I talk about how I teach my daughter about money. Number 6 of what the rich teach their kids is the differences between an asset and a liability. You know, it's really funny because there are so many adults that I know that don't even understand this. An asset is simply something that puts money in our pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of our pocket. A liability actually takes money out of our pocket and puts it into someone else's pocket. And I know a lot of people really don't understand this. I was talking to my mom, who my parents are, just insanely wealthy, does not understand that her house that she lives in is a liability. She believes that it is an asset. But as I've talked in previous videos and in future videos as well, that an asset puts money in our pocket. So if we own a house that we live in, no matter if that mortgage is paid for or not, we have taxes, we have insurance, we have maintenance and repairs, and all these different costs associated with living in that house. So therefore, it can never be an asset because, once again, an asset puts money in our pocket, not take money out of it. Now, number 7 of how the rich teach their kids is always including them in discussions about money. This is something that I didn't do right away because my wife had a slightly different mindset than I did. But now, if my wife and I are discussing money of whatever sort, we're talking about a budget, or we're talking about, whatever it is related to money, maybe it's our accounts, how we want to shuffle money around and do different accounts to buy different assets or whatever, my daughter is there listening to everything. She may not actively be participating in the conversation, but she's there. She's absorbing that knowledge. And that is something that I've seen a lot of wealthy people do with their kids, and that they sit them around while they discuss money. And that is something that a lot of poor people and even middle class people don't do. In fact, money is pretty hush hush. All right. It was even in my household. Again, my parents were very wealthy. But they didn't talk about money very much. And so because of that, I didn't learn very much about money, how to manage it or anything. And I think that it's a fatal flaw that parents make. You have to talk to your kids about money. And if you're going to talk to your spouse about money or your finances or your budget, just sit them down, bring them along for that conversation. Again, they don't have to be part of it, but let them listen in. It will help them in the long run. I guarantee it. Number 8 is delayed gratification. This is something that virtually all rich people teach their kids. This is actually something that my parents taught me, is that delayed gratification. You see, it takes time to build wealth, right? It's taken me 20 years to get to where I am right now. And for some, it might take longer than 20 years. It may take 30 or 40 years to get to a wealthy level. And one thing that my parents actually taught me is instant gratification leads to bad decisions. You have to make smart choices, all right? You have to put that money into building assets and to making cash flow, not into buying the very next PlayStation 5 that's coming out or the next beautiful phone that's on the market or anything like that, right? Your goal is to build assets. It's to focus on cash flow. Once you have enough, then and only then should you be looking at spending any of it. For a very long time, I was making a whole lot of money and I was still living on a very, very small amount of it. At one point, I was actually making about $100,000 a month. And I was still living off of about $2,500 per month. I don't remember the exact figures, but it was something along those lines, all right? I was putting all of that money back into building my assets as opposed to just going off and spending and spending and spending. Because again, when we want that instant gratification, again, it leads to bad decision making, all right? We want to make smart choices, and we want our kids to make smart choices as well. Number 9 is there is always enough money and more money out there. There is literally no limit to how much money you can make, right? There are millionaires and billionaires out there. I think there's something like 600 billionaires or something like that. But even if there were 600 trillionaires out there, there's still more money to get. And while the poor and the middle class focus on saving money and hoarding money because they believe that money is finite, the rich know better and they focus on building assets and cash flow because they know there's always more money out there. Number 10 is they don't know everything, all right? As a parent, we don't know everything, all right? So we have to give different resources and different tools to our children to let them go ahead and explore and learn more about money, about finance, about real estate, or whatever it is that we don't know. Even in business, this is true. All right? I don't know everything about editing a video or anything like that. So what do? Is I go and I hire someone because they know more than I do. And your children, you have to make your children understand that you don't know everything. All right? No matter how much you study, you don't know everything. I constantly tell my daughter, I don't know. Right? And I have her Google whatever it is that she's looking up so that she understands, one, how to acquire that information, but two, so that she understands I don't have all the answers. And this is one really key thing that the rich teach their kids. Number 11 is debt can be a good thing. All right? I know a lot of people out there, I'm not going to mention any names, Ramsey, but they talk about how debt is bad. But there is good debt and there is bad debt. Now, the difference between bad debt and good debt, if you don't know, is bad debt is something that you have to pay yourself. So let's just hypothetically say I go to buy another Jeep, right? I love Jeeps. I have one and I want to buy another one. So I go and buy another one and I have a $10,000 loan. That loan is something that I personally have to pay, all right? That is bad debt. Good debt is, let's say I buy a house now, all right? That house I purchased for $100,000 and my mortgage on it, all my interest, everything like that, everything that I pay for that house is, say, $700. But I put a tenant in there and that tenant is paying me $1,100. That debt became good debt because I personally don't have to pay that. My tenant is actually paying that mortgage for me. And that's a great thing. If I purchase a whole lot of different apartment buildings, right, all of those tenants are paying my debt for me and I'm making cash flow. That becomes an asset. Therefore, that is good debt. And good debt is a very good thing. Now, the next thing that the wealthy and rich teach their kids, number 12, is they teach them about things like taxes, insurance, inflation, depreciation, and all these other types of things. They talk to them about the Federal Reserve and what they do. And, you know, the Federal Reserve's job is essentially to make the money. Your job is to keep the money, or as much of it as you possibly can. Your job is to collect it and use that money to build assets. And when we talk about taxes, inflation, and depreciation, right, most people, poor, middle class, they do not understand these things. In fact, my 19-year-old son, in fact, he'll be 20 this year, does not understand a single thing about these. He doesn't know the very first thing about taxes. All he knows is that he has to pay them at some point during the year. How much he has to pay, what he has to pay, what he has to do to pay it or to get a refund or whatever, he has no clue about. And the only reason he didn't learn this stuff from me is because for a very long time, he was out of my custody. And I'm not going to talk about that. That's a very long story. But my daughter is starting to understand, and she's 9. She's starting to understand things about taxes, insurance, depreciation, and all of these things. And that is something that the rich teach their kids as long as their kids are at home. And number 13 is dreams are built after hours. After you've worked your 40 hours a week, that is the time for you to build your dreams, right? I know most people watching this have a job, and I am not telling you to just go ahead and dump your job, try this, passive income movement and laptop lifestyle or anything like that, right? What I'm telling you is that we all have 168 hours in the week. If you work 40 hours a week and you sleep 8 hours a day and you do all this stuff, right? Generally speaking, you have roughly 37 to 40 hours of free time that you could be building your dream. All right. This is something that I tell every single person. You always have time. All right. I work 100 hours a week. All right. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I think recently I've been doing about 90, 95 hours, but needless to say, we'll just call it 100. And out of those 100 hours a week that I'm working, I'm still finding time that I could work on other things. And if I can do that at 100 hours a week, you can find time to do that at 40 hours a week. And you have to understand all of this so that you can teach your kids, because it is our responsibility to teach our kids about money and finance and about work ethic and about building businesses and entrepreneurship. That is our job as parents. Now, coming up in this next part, I'm actually going to be talking about how I teach my kids about money. But first, if you've gotten any amount of value from this video, please go ahead, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and go ahead and share this video with your friends over on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. You never know who this could reach to help their kid get the financial education that they deserve. So let me tell you about how I teach my daughter about money. So this is my daughter Lily, and with Lily, I've taken a different approach to teaching her about money. And in fact, I give her a $2,000 allowance for living every single day, and I make her pay bills. So I make her pay her rent. So she has like $1,250 for her rent. I make her pay her power bill, which is about $130. And I also make her pay for her internet. How much do you pay for internet?
Well, I pay $51.
$51 for her internet. And I make her pay for water bills. You know, as an adult, we have all these different bills. How much do you pay for water?
$30.
$30. All right. She pays $30 on average just for water usage. And then there's also jiu-jitsu. So we take her to jiu-jitsu to do, you know, jiu-jitsu classes, and we've got to shuttle her there, shuttle her back. And so that, you know, pays for jiu-jitsu, that pays for gas. How much do you pay for jiu-jitsu and gas? $150 for all of that. So out of that $2,000, she only gets to keep roughly $389 per month out of that $2,000. On top of that, she also has to pay for all of her meals, right? Just like us as adults, we have to go out there and pay for our food. So how much do you pay for breakfast?
$2.
She pays $2 just to have breakfast. No matter what it is, right? She pays $2. How much do you pay for lunch?
$3.
$3 for lunch. How about dinner?
$4.
$4. All right. So she pays $2 for breakfast, $3 for lunch, $4 for dinner. All right. That is a total of $9. So that saves her just a little bit, about $3 throughout the day if she only sticks with those. But she also has snacks sometimes, or she can save her money in order to buy an asset of some sort later on. All right. How much are snacks?
$1.
Typically about $1, right? This could be some pretzels or something like that. But she has all of these bills that she needs to pay, because as parents, it is our job to teach our kids about how to be an adult, all right? How to live in a world where we're not always there making the decision for them. And that's what I'm trying to do here with Lily, in that's why I give her $2,000 a month and make her pay all of these bills. Some people might think I'm crazy, but this is how I do things. And I'm having her do math every single day. She keeps a ledger of absolutely everything that comes in or out. So in her ledger, she has, it's broken up into columns, and the first column is the date. What day is it? The next is income and expenses. So this is just money coming in or out. So if, let's say she does something additional, right? She sweeps the porch, or she vacuums a house, right? She gets additional money for that, because I want to enforce the habits that I believe are very valuable. So she does something extra. She gets maybe $3, right? She jots in there $3 in income and expense section. Then she has a balance section. So that plus whatever she had left before, and she writes it into the balance area. And then she has a column for what was it for. So anything that comes in or out, if she buys a snack, she puts it in there. If it's nighttime and she has dinner, she's going to put that back into her ledger so that she's always on time. And she always has to know how much money she has on hand at any given time. So if I ask her, how much money do you have currently right now?
$327.
So she has $327, right? She knows to the dollar, because we're not dealing with cents or anything right now, just whole dollar amounts, that she knows exactly how much money she has at all times. So if I'm in the kitchen and we're cooking or something like that, and I ask her, she needs to be able to tell me how much money she has. All right. One of the other things that I do is I make her count her money every single morning. Do I not?
Yes.
And what happens if your ledger and the money that you actually have on hand is off? Do you or do you not have consequences?
I have big consequences.
She has big consequences, all right? I want her math and everything else to be perfect so that she knows exactly how much money she has, so that she's tracking absolutely everything. And I have her do math every single day, 7 days a week. So she goes in, she does sheets like this of math, and it's just basic math, all right? Just adding, subtracting, stuff like that. No big multiplying or dividing or anything like that. So that, it keeps everything fresh in her head. So, if she has $327 and she pays for something that's $3, she knows how much money that's going to be, and so she just writes it down. Another thing that I do is I kind of give her lectures. So true, right? So pretty much every day I talk to her about some aspect of money, all right? Whether it's the difference between assets and liabilities or expenses and liabilities, or we're talking about cash flow and, real estate houses and putting tenants in houses and all this different types of stuff. And my lectures can kind of go on and on, can't they? But it's because I need her to understand all of this stuff that we're talking about so that one day when I'm gone, she's not going to have any problems. All right. I do not want her to live the life that I had to do living in my minivan, not knowing where that next dollar is coming from, how I'm going to eat or anything like that. I don't want her to have to go through that. It's kind of sad that a lot of people don't understand this in order to teach their kids. And what's even more sad is that school systems and schools do not teach our kids about money, about how to make money, how to do taxes or anything like this. That is why I decided to homeschool my daughter, is because they weren't teaching the things that I know that she needs to know in the real world. And another thing, if your kid is learning all this stuff from you, they need to see you be good with money as well. Remember, the apple does not fall far from the tree. So if your child is looking at you and you're bad with money, they're also going to be bad with money no matter how much you teach them. So for those of you wondering about how I pay my daughter this $2,000 that I teach her every single month, you can actually do this with Monopoly money. It doesn't have to be real money. And I break it up in a certain way. So this is the way that I break up the money that I give her. First thing first is I give her $50 in $1 bills. I give her $100 in $5 bills. I give her $250 in $10 bills, $500 in $20 bills, another $500 in $50 bills, and then $600 in $100 bills. All right. And if she needs change for anything like that, she can always go to the bank. I'll take her to the bank so that she can cash whatever dollar amount that she needs in order to acquire a lower dollar amount. So if she needs ones and all she has is tens, then I'll take her to the bank. She can make change and all this stuff so that she sees how the system works. All right. She has her own accounts. She knows what is going on. And I believe that as adults, again, we need to take every little bit of information that we can acquire about money and give it to our kids. All right. It is important in our society. Teach your kids about money. Now, if you want to get a little bit more information on the #1 secrets that the rich teach their kids, go ahead and click on this video right here. It will teach you how to make maximum profit in minimal time. Go ahead and click that right now. And remember, you are just one cash flow stream away from financial freedom.